Well, yeah, you can play sports and be devoted to God. Look at all the athletes that, Brock Purdy from the San Francisco 49ers. Look at Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors. The list goes on. Jonathan Isaac from the Orlando Magic. You could have lists after lists after lists of athletes that are dedicated to their faith. Sports and athletics go hand in hand. You got to work hard. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to care about your team and not be about yourself. Something on my team I say is the more you give, the more you get. And that's what sports is all about. The more screens you set, the more open shots you're going to have for others. And actually, the more screens you set, the more open shots you're going to have for yourself. The more layups you're going to get, the more jump shots you're going to get, the more points you're going to get. So the more you're about others, the more successful your team is going to be. But then you also have to be a leader enough to know your role. Like Jesus knew his role to save the world, but he also knew that he needed a team to do that. So sports and faith go hand in hand. And I think that's where the one arena that faith is really alive within our nation is sports. Do you go to a business and all of a sudden the whole business comes together after the day and they kneel down and they say a prayer? Well, maybe a couple businesses. I wish all the businesses did it, and they should do it. But in sports, almost every football game, one or both of the teams after the game's over will come out on the field, half their team, all their team, a portion of their team, and they'll pray. They'll kneel down and say a prayer. In football, you'll constantly see people doing the sign of the cross before a game. So sports and faith go hand in hand. And in my own life, sports and faith go hand in hand. Because every time I need to pray that I can, be devoted and dedicated and have integrity and be encouraging, but yet be challenging and push the young people I coach to be their very best. And that's what God does with me every day. In the Bible, it says in Matthew 22:37-39, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. This is the first and the greatest commandment. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. God's pushing me to live out the greatest commandment. And on the court, I'm pushing my players to live out the greatest commandment. In my book, it's the more you give, the more you get.
You brought up coaching. What is it that got you to start coaching, and why do you continue to do this?
Like Rocky Balboa says, to Adrian, I think it's going to work because we got gaps. You got gaps, I got gaps. I think it's going to work out, And I think what happened was I had a gap in my life. I was assistant coaching, helping out when I could on the side for many years. But then I had a time in my life where I wasn't traveling, doing as many events. And when that happened, I had a gap. And when that gap happened, I realized how much need there was in the sports arena for faith, for hope, for love, for encouragement. How much these players wanted it. But the number one reason that I really coached was because of my players. When one of my players came up to me and said, hey, coach, I want you to see my mom. And he showed me a picture of her on Facebook. And when I saw that, I said, wow, she's beautiful. She looks like you. He goes, yeah, she is beautiful. She does look like me, coach. I go, I can't wait till she comes to a game, and I can't wait to meet her. And he looked at me just sincerely and said, yeah, I can't wait to meet her too. And I can't wait till she comes to a game. It was right there I learned that I had to help my team to learn how to suffer well. I had to help my team to learn that we all go through bad breaks, but when we have a bad break, God can take our bad break, and make it into good news. That's what the cross was, and that's what the resurrection was. The cross was the biggest bad break, in all human history. But he took the biggest bad break and made it to the greatest hope and encouragement of all the world, the resurrection. And I think that's what we're all meant to do. We're all meant to take our bad breaks in life and to show that there's good news in them, that there's hope in them, that there's a purpose. And I've been able to do that so far in my life. I hope I continue to do it. But they taught me so much. And I wanted to commit to them. And I just got back from the national championship game, actually national championship tournament of one of my players who had no scholarships and no help for college basketball. And really, through the grace of God and my little guy's team, he actually got to play on a team that this year played in the national championship tournament in D2 JUCO. And I mean, look, he had a bad break, but he took his bad break, and now we got good news. So let's go and take our bad breaks and make some good news.